Hello and welcome to this midweek update for the church here at Barnabas. And what I've been asked to do this week is just to talk to you a little bit about caring for the poor and marginalised in a time of crisis, what it means for us locally, and some other more bigger reflections from the point of view of our country and the world around us. Now, obviously, as we all know, Barnabas has been committed for many years to really focusing on reaching vulnerable and needy people in all sorts of different ways. We've got our own separate charity, Barnabas Community Projects, which I'm responsible for heading up and overseeing from an eldership point of view. We've got a great team of directors. We've got Peter Haydock, Rich Buckle, Karen Williams, and we've got some fantastic projects that at the beginning of this year we're all running at full tilt. Barney Tots, Cafe Plus, reaching older people, Eclipse, the child bereavement service that Helen Hotchkiss heads up, going into schools. And then we had all our work going with Food Bank, Money Advice, and the 360 projects, life skills projects that we're running. And we call those three things Food Bank Plus. All those things were running full tilt at the beginning of the year, but things have changed. Some things we can't run at all. Barney Tots had to stop as soon as we had the flooding. So did Cafe Plus. Eclipse had to stop once the schools closed for the time being. So some of our projects are on hold. Some of our 360 projects, like the gardening project, the woodworking project, the cookery project, they couldn't run because of all the social distancing rules. But two things have been going strong. Food Bank, and you've probably seen all the updates from Food Bank, the team that Karen leads. Got some great volunteers, some amazing donations coming in, and there's great need out there. So the Food Bank team's up and running fully. The BMA team, led by Roger Bebb, is operating, but from homes at the moment. So it's operating on a slightly reduced scale. And we're hoping to get the team back in at the centre reasonably soon, but we'll see how that goes. So we've had to change the way we operate, but we're ambitious to bring all those things back. And we've started a project during this particular period, 360 Talk. So that's the only 360 project we can actually run. David and Ruth Summerfield are heading that up at the moment, contacting vulnerable clients from Food Bank Plus by telephone on a regular basis. We hope that project could expand over a period of time, but we're just trialing it at the moment with a relatively small number of clients being helped. So we're on the front foot. Everyone's doing a great job at the centre in the projects that can run. The teams that can't run, I know they really want to get started again, and hopefully we'll be able to do that in due course. Now, obviously, there's another aspect to our concern for vulnerable people in our church, which is our connections internationally. So we're very concerned about how our friends in Zambia are getting on. We're very concerned about how our friends in Ukraine are getting on, and both those countries are served through the charity Bread Trust. And we've heard reports from some other partners, people like Lizzie White in Peru, about what's happening there, the lockdown, the difficulties they're facing. We've heard from Fred Asore and our friends in Kenya that it's pretty tough in the rural areas that are served by the churches that we're connected there. So things are tough in other parts of the world, much tougher, in fact, than they are in this country. So let's just think for a moment about the wider picture. Coronavirus, of course, is a worldwide crisis and a worldwide pandemic. And if you look at the broader picture in the world, I think we can already see that the developing countries, the poorer countries, are facing or will face tremendous difficulties dealing with this pandemic. It's difficult for them to have the medical facilities, to enforce social distancing, to find the finance to support their people, and the levels of financial deprivation already being experienced by countless people is tremendously high. So the cost of this pandemic in the poorer nations of the world is going to be simply enormous. And that's something that we need to be very aware of in this country as we face our own problems, which are serious. We need to be aware that people who are going to face much more serious difficulties and just won't have the capacity in their national governments or their infrastructure to deal with the pandemic as it continues to develop worldwide. Another thing we're going to see, I think, worldwide is tensions between nations over how they've handled this. We're already seeing a tremendous conflict developing between China and the USA, and I think that's going to be replicated in a number of different areas. So it's a pretty big crisis that we're talking about. We've got our little microcosm here in Shrewsbury, in our area. We've got Barnabas community projects. We're well organised, we're well motivated. We've got loads and loads of really committed volunteers, great team leaders across all our projects. And some of them can't function, others can at the moment. Food banks in the front line at the moment. But we're really hoping that we can do lots of creative things as lockdown eases. I'll come to that in just a moment. But before that, let me just say a couple of things just about our own national situation. I'm quite involved in this because I head up a charity called Jubilee Plus, which most of you are aware of, jubilee-plus.org if you want to look up the website. And we're looking at the national picture in terms of churches' engagement. And there's some pretty stark realities that we're facing as a country. Our national debt is growing enormously. We're talking about adding 300 or 400 billion pounds to our national debt, which is a staggeringly large amount of money to add to what was already a very inflated national debt. That's likely to lead to higher taxation, a restriction on public services, welfare services. We know that we're just on the verge of a major spike in unemployment, and we're just beginning to see the early signs of that. That's going to have huge knock-on effects in months and years to come. By the autumn, we'll see that sort of landing a bit more. We see a spike in mental health issues, family crisis and family tension issues, domestic violence, all these things. They're points of real concern, quite apart from the medical issues, caring for vulnerable people, protecting people, social isolation, dealing with people who are suffering from COVID-19, the number of people who are dying, the pressure on the medical staff, the issue in the care homes that we're all very familiar with. Quite apart from all those absolutely critical issues, there's a wider social and economic scene that's developing, which is pretty somber, really. And we can see tremendous human need developing in our country, which leads me to my final thoughts on it. And that is that this is the moment when the church needs to be, if ever, on the front foot. So what I have in my mind as a kind of vision for the future is that food banks, which of course are everywhere in the country, we are Food Bank Britain, and almost all those food banks are run by church groups. Food banks, which are doing a great job, need to be supplemented in years to come by very well-developed sort of life skills courses, facilities, enabling opportunities to help people get back into work, to build up their life skills, build up their confidence in all sorts of different areas. The sort of things that we're already doing in our 360 projects. Now, my vision would be that these sort of things become a regular reality in churches as they really engage with people and help them on the journey of rebuilding their lives after all the shocks and difficulties and unemployment and financial stress that they will be have experienced as a result of this crisis. And another key area in that is, of course, in personal indebtedness. Debt levels are very high in our society already. They're bound to be getting higher right now because of the financial circumstances. So this provides churches with a challenge, but I would see it more as an opportunity. So that's sort of on a national level. I would say locally, Barnabas's ambition is to develop what we are already doing, to think of other strategic projects we can add into the things we are doing, to increase the capacity of the things that we are already doing, to develop even more stronger partnerships with local agencies. And I think around the country, where churches are well organised, there's going to be incredible opportunities to connect with the local authorities. I was talking to someone in a major city who helps to head up a major Christian initiative in the city, and he said to me, I can't believe what's happening. The city is coming to us, the city authorities saying, we want to partner with you, we want to give you significant funds to do different projects that need doing for people. We think you're the people to do that. So my feeling is that this pattern of events will develop in times to come. Now, Barnabas is well positioned in terms of our teaching, our ethos, our experience, our organization, our existing projects, our leadership in social projects, with Karen Williams leading the way and some very talented leaders in different projects. We're well positioned to think seriously and pray, what next? So this is a quick update just so you get a feel for what we're thinking and feeling. Thank you so much. So many of you prayed for our projects. You've supported our food bank at this time. We really do appreciate that this is a team effort and you've made a real contribution. So this is just a quick update for the church, and I hope you find it helpful. There'll be some more details on specific things, no doubt, as time goes on. But this is just a general update for you, for your encouragement. Tough times in our country, but the church really does need to be on the front foot. This is a time of opportunity, and we at Barnabas want to be a front foot church as our nation shakes and quakes in coming months with all the shocks that have come to our national system and our lifestyle and our employment structures and our mental health as a result of this coronavirus crisis. Let's have faith that God can do great things both locally and across the nation. Thanks for listening. See you soon.